No, it's great. We don't bring him, but he actually is from the Karaites.
Okay.
From the Karaites.
All right, we're on. Video is on. So this is the Perplexed Club meeting. The Perplexed Club meeting. This is volume number 61, I think, or something like that, right?
But the first one altogether.
And then, so let us introduce ourselves. First of all, we have David Hamelech, King David, with us present. Please over here. We have a chief executioner. That's me, chief executioner. I'm writing. Next to me, a chief doctor, the advisor to the king. Then we have a rabbi from rabbinical community, which is opposite to the non-rabbinical community.
Oh, that's for sure.
We have a rabbi. We have his name is not Chas Shalom. His name is Shai. Yeah. And of course we have a doctor.
Well, there's also a doctor like me, PhD.
We have doctor. He makes sure, like in case we run out of time, he would save us. So as long as you give me the thing, the white thing. Yeah.
What is this?
This is, so we're gonna. So now that we're on a roll, we're gonna start with discussing the situation in the world, and especially the situation between Jews and Arabs and Gaza and all that, and the world and the protests and pro and against and typically the world. We see the world not in color. We see it in black and white. You mean the globe?
What do you mean?
This?
This?
Yes.
What's that for?
This is a world. We still have to put a map on it. We only have now Derby. It says Derby. Our world is Derby world. It's a soft world. It's not very hard world. It's a kind world. It's a good world.
We have a blank slate to work with.
Yes. So who's going to start? So now today's situations. Your Majesty, King David, you said today's situation we'll discuss today from different perspectives. What's going on in the world? Who is right? Who is wrong? Who is kind? Who is start? Please start.
Okay, so I will. So I thought that we should for the first meeting of getting together in this Zoomcast or podcast, because of what's going on in the world, where Jews are being targeted, spat on, attacked for just because they're Jewish. We've come to realize that a Jew is a Jew, whether he is observant or not observant. To our enemies, it's the same thing. Especially now, it's the Muslims. We have to admit that.
Even though they're brothers, class.
Well, at least cousins.
Cousins.
Half brothers.
But
Half brothers, half cousins.
I was thinking about this. We have to admit, at least in my mind, that anti-Semitism is rooted in Christianity. And I think that it's so easy for the Muslim immigrants in the world to sort of, like in a second, to ignite this what they call like the age-old hatred towards Jews, which is based in Christianity and then what became based in the culture.
But we talk about Christian love.
Okay. Yes, of course. Out of anti-Semitism, Christianity is all about love. So I think it would be an interesting question to discuss on this hatred that comes from religion. It started in Christianity. Christianity came out of Judaism, that's for sure. So it came out from Christianity and then transmitted to Islam. I don't want to talk about the origins of Islam right now because it's sort of irrelevant. But we'll talk about it maybe in another meeting. But right now, it translated itself or transmitted itself also to Islam. So, from the view of religion, we see that we are being targeted by sister religions. Okay, even if we're targeted by atheists now, by the woke mob, or whatever you want to call it. So how do we address that? What should we think? What should we do? What can we say to other religions? And can we even do something about it?
So you think even atheists living in the Western countries
are rooted? They are rooted in Christian tradition thinking.
So they're like attaching themselves in some way to a tradition of hate.
Yes.
And how about the Muslims? Where does their hatred come from? Seems like the Muslims, as long as we were second-class citizens and accepted that role, they didn't bother us. But as soon as we stood out as a country in the Middle East and tried to claim our ancient heritage, they turned violently.
Well, the thing about Christianity and Islam, they have at least one thing in common. For them, the existence of Judaism is a theological problem.
Judaism or the Jew?
Judaism.
Judaism.
Judaism. Even Hitler said. Sorry for
Much
going.
more.
Yeah. Even Hitler said that his problem is Judaism. And the only way to get rid of Judaism is to get rid of the Jews. That was his way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he saw in Judaism, the ideas of Judaism, the problems that he saw that the Jewish, morality, values.
He said he hates conscience.
Yes,
He said it's
that's
a Jewish
right.
idea.
It's a Jewish idea. So, in order to get rid of that, you have to get rid of the Jews, because they embody these values.
It's an interesting point, but let's see what will be. This is what the kingly view, because King David was saying that. But from the rabbinical view, which is more democratic view, let's say what rabbis will say. But first, just make sure Rabbi Bashai took his sweater off. He usually has long sleeve. He's very observant. But to be a little bit more kind of common person, he took the sweater off so his hands are not fully covered. So please don't be offended that Rabbi will speak with the hands uncovered. Please.
No, so getting back, I think one of the biggest things to understand is, first of all, I don't know if you know the news, that the President Biden appointed a special lady, and Lev and I, we know her, who's in charge of what? Trying to deal with this whole wave of anti-Semitism. And she actually comes from Atlanta.
Who?
And yeah, Lipstadt. Deborah Lipstadt, yeah.
Wow.
And we know her. She actually has some family here in Beersheba. It's interesting. She's actually a cousin to Brenda Glick. You know,
Well, I hope it will be something
Professor Glick's wife.
I hope it will be affected, not just a lip.
But I heard she was here. No, people did not. I heard she was here in Israel. Yeah, but she came here in Israel, and I'm not saying, but we're hoping.
He's from now right wing. After seeing the Israel, what
I don't know.
But she's the one who they did the whole story and they made a movie because she said.
Yeah, denial.
Yeah, the guy who was in the cafe down at Roswell and Piedmont, he'd go every Saturday night to say that the Holocaust never existed. So she wrote a book, and he sued her for defamation in England, because in England you're not innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty until proven innocent.
No, she did a great job. You didn't hear that? That's the movie Denial.
She's coming to Israel.
No, she was here. It said. She said she was here visiting.
So what's the point about that?
No, so I'm bringing up. So obviously there's a major problem in the United States now. I'm just saying. And the people who are living there, they like to deny that it exists, that it's already a problem. I'm not talking about the non-Jews. I think the Jews themselves don't want to admit, a lot of them, that there is.
Most Jews are leftists.
Yes, so
the leftists are having a crisis because suddenly they thought these guys are our friends.
Exactly.
We're all one happy progressive family, and all of a sudden the progressives have all become anti-Semitic or just turn the other way, turn away from when there's something anti-Semitic happening.
And the problem is, I just read recently in one of the online Jewish sites, it said that during Hanukkah, there was definitely a decline. I'm bringing in the rabbinic side, the decline, and people didn't even want to display their what? Their Chanukiot, their menorah, they were afraid. And there's also stories that people who live in communities, they actually, if they didn't take down the mezuzah, like in big apartments and stuff, that they're actually afraid, and they're trying to cover it up with these fancy covers,
but
so they won't even know.
I hear from my friends in America, even from family, that they'll say it will pass. Like I talked to my family, and they had I think I was telling His Majesty David Melech that there was riots in the Walmart. You know, they steal things in America for $950. You can just take everything, but over thousands. So the riots, and I called the kids and say, "Is that something generous?" So I say something generous is going on. They said, "No, bro. It's not 2 blocks away."
They're denial. That's what I'm saying.
Away. That's okay here.
They're living. I think the big problem is the Jews themselves, like you said. Like the doctor said, they're living in denial now. And God forbid, if they wait too long, right? France already, they said, the Aliyah numbers are up, they claim. And in America, you don't hear that yet.
Yeah,
they think it's going to die
a friend
down.
of ours lived next to this fellow, Sam Cropper, who passed away. But he lived next to us when I was growing up in Bayside, Queens. And he just narrowly escaped from Germany. Literally, he got out last train before September 1st, 1939, the war started. He got into France, and from France he got out to England just before they invaded. And I said, what was it like just before you left? He said, I told all my friends, this is going to be very bad. We have to get out. I said, oh no, it's all right, it'll pass, we'll pass over. And he couldn't convince anybody. He left. He said, all the people he talked to died.
No.
You know,
This happened to Noah. Noah's Ark. He was telling him, we get out and you'll float.
Dr.
The
Brad.
story about Danzig in Germany. The people, you know about Danzig, Germany?
Dancing corridor.
Danzig,
The city?
the city of Danzig.
Yes.
Tell us
Very,
again.
very wealthy people, Jews, and they're very influential, very well connected, everything else. And they saw the Michigas going on in Germany. They said, it can happen there. We're too well connected. The mayor is my brother-in-law, and so on and so on. They said, we're fine.
Yeah.
And also they saw it coming down. They took all their art treasures, and they boxed them up and sent them on a boat to America, to New York. And there's a traveling exhibit of the treasures of Danzig.
did they make it out?
They know people never made it out.
Yeah.
That's
But-
the irony.
But
Irony.
similar, I'd say, I talked to my friends, my dear family that I love so much, and I said to them, logically, there was Egypt, there were slaves. Then was the Babylon exiles. Then it was Greeks tried to destroy it. Then Romans tried to destroy it. Spain tried to destroy it. Portugal tried to destroy it. Poland tried to destroy it. Germany destroyed it. If you look at this, who tells you that America, and you know the answer to me? Well, but in Babylon there were Babylonians, the ethnic Babylonians. In Germany, ethnic Germans. There was unity among them. It's easier for the unity to come. But in America, it's a melting pot. They never can
Maybe that
unite.
Thank God. Maybe that's why they're still around, the Jews, but the Jews are melting into that pot, and we know that we're losing numbers left and right in terms of what? Of standing up and say they're Jewish, the assimilation, yeah.
They're melting into and they're melting in.
Exactly, and we know the numbers are dwindling down like crazy.
Mayor
So
Lansky.
that's what they think the solution is.
Mayor Lansky was, Mayor Lansky?
Yeah.
They think he was a mafia guy.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a mafia guy. He was a nice guy. He had a self-defense league. And then what happens in 1942 or 41 when German spies were in New York City. And the brown shirts, they had meetings. Like 200 people, they rent a hotel room. And again, so Mayor Lansky's his guys came in with their methods, beat them up. We're not advocating violence, God forbid, but they came as a beat them up and they were quiet. Jews of New York took a page in New York Times and we condemn this, we don't behave like that. They dissociate themselves from Mayor Lansky. All he was trying to defend the Jews. And sometimes, I guess, you have to defend yourself. So the Israel defended itself.
Mayor Lansky also was one of the founders of Murder Incorporated. He was a thug and a gangster. So let's not.
No, he wasn't a thug.
He was.
He was a gangster. Not a thug.
Oh, excuse
He was a
me.
good gangster.
Oh,
He's doctor. He has good feelings.
I think we'll have to look up the real book and then read it, and then we can discuss it.
That will be our book club.
Yeah,
So we're
I
going to
think that's
read
good.
Mayor Lansky. There will be assignment.
Who's the one who wrote probably the history of it? They probably have. Right?
There's a good book written called Tough Jews,
was
which
shipping
was written by the
guns
son
by
of one of
container
these
loads
guys.
over to Israel in 48 for the War of Independence.
He saved Israel.
And then he was upset. Years later, when America wanted to put him in jail, he wanted to make Aliyah. Israel sit there saying,
I'll just very quickly before it's something. When we read the book of Mayor Lansky, what we'll do in order to have a little zinc to that, we only read let's say there are 100 pages. I read the first 20. You read the second 20, then 20.
No,
So
we
we
can't
don't-
discuss it. No, we have
It
to.
will be interesting. If you only read the third, like 60 to 80.
And I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna
up.
look up what this book.
It'll be like the
Let's-
blind man
let's
with
get
the
back
elephant.
to it.
Blind man living like the
Listen,
elephant.
let's get back to the topic.
Talk back to
Well,
the topic.
one
Imagine.
thing you guys have all missed, the root of all evil is money. Okay?
Oh, that's a good socialist talking.
Yeah, the money is what they all go for. So I
You
have
think Hamas
theory.
He's a member of Communist Party.
You think Hamas activity is about money? It's not about money. It's about religious belief.
No. They use religion belief to motivate the people. But people would not. If you said, "I'm going to pay you $100 to fly this airplane into the building,"
Yeah, they would
They
say
wouldn't
Jew
do
would
it.
do it. No.
You can do it. I'm not going to give you any money. You're going to do it for Allah. Oh, but it's really about money.
David's special, his favorite
But you just
person,
proved
his
that
special.
it's not about money.
It's about money. It's about money. They use religion to motivate them to do what they wouldn't do any other reason. But the money is the real.
So you don't think the leaders of Hamas really believe what they're saying?
Well, they have billions of dollars in
Are you kidding? They
Qatar.
got $11 billion. They're living in luxury. They probably get hot and cold running women.
Religion can be
Maybe
very.
Let's then continue what else you want to say for our live audience. So David, because his favorite, I think his favorite character historically is Rockefeller. That's why we call him a communist, because he likes
His
Rockefeller.
name is Brad, not David.
Well, I pointed to
I
you,
was talking about you.
but I mean about Brad. He's a communist because he likes Rockefeller.
No, he's not. No,
Rockefeller. No, and of course Reuben is Hasid.
no, he's not a communist.
He's not. So
I'm a capitalist Hasidic.
he's capitalist Hasidic, and he is he's Hasidic.
We love everybody.
Everybody, even
the
rabbis.
famous life and legacy of the mobster. And by the way, we're gonna add this to the thing. Books about Mayor Lansky, and then we'll pick.
What's the name
Maybe
of the book?
people. There's different books on Mayor Lansky,
Let's get the
Well,
one
you know,
that we don't
It's
know.
like Tom Lehrer said.
and it's with Bugs D. Siegel too.
I love humanity, but I know there's some people who don't love their fellow man, and I hate people like that.
He just called it Tom Sawyer, right? Tom Sawyer said that.
Right, get him back on track.
Len, please.
David, please. Let's get back to the topic.
Okay, so the problem of Christianity and Islam is that Judaism exists. Now, the major difference between Judaism and to Christianity and Islam is that Judaism is an exclusive religion. It's a religion of this particular people. Jews have never tried, and they don't have a mission given to them by God to make everybody
Make
else, to convert people
Maybe to
into
educate the
Judaism.
world.
Even
Yeah,
if
model for the
people
world,
even
but
if people come to a rabbi and say, I want to convert, rabbis usually say, why? Are what's the score? But Christianity and Islam are religions that want to conquer the world. According to Christians, everybody must be Christian except Jesus. According to Islam, everybody must convert to Islam and say the Shahada and pray 5 times a day in the mosque to Allah. So you have these two groups that want to take over the world, targeting this group that doesn't want to take over the world,
And so on.
and from which these two religions, one of them directly came out of, and the other is basically inspired from. So, could religion be the problem of what's going on? Because that my claim is that not with Muslims, not with Muslim immigrants, but the problem of the West is the Christian anti-Semitism.
Well, the reality is that the fundamentalist Christians and the evangelicals are very, very friendly to Israel right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Christian
You know,
Zionists.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like a flip. The Muslims used to be a little more friendly, less genocidal. And
Still
the
small.
Christians were worse.
Fundamentalists are with us.
But now it's flipped. The religious Christians are generally more pro-Israel, and the religious Muslims are extremely anti. So it's flexible.
It's interesting. It's interesting question because last time we have like 19.2 million followers. So put a like if you put a like for that.
We're trying to get to 20.
We want to get to 20. And this is a question now. This is like a little commercial question for Rabbi and David. See if it gets right. What will be when you read the Holy Zohar, Kabbalah? What will be when Rav Abba, the right hand of Shimon Bar Yochai, when he meets Rabbi here and he listens to our group, he will say, what he will say? Don't say, you know the answer. He will say, what do you say, Rav? Rabbi Abba is meeting Rabbi here.
Yeah.
And he says, Rabbi here, he tells you, and he said, tell me about the Rockefeller. He tells me Rockefeller. And he's telling me Rockefeller, if only 7 and 9 would be 16, then I would not be within the 20 limits. And he said to them, what? David, what did he say?
If only I came here to hear. If only I came to hear this.
That's it.
Is that what he said? Yeah.
Yes, if only had to hear this. So, can you,
I think the other thing is
we're going to reuse the tape. It will be
it's
all
an ironic
recorded.
way the people who are the most violently and viciously anti-Semitic in America now are the very religious Muslims and the anti-religious woke. I mean, it's a strange.
But it seems that for the anti-religious woke, which comes from neo-Marxism, Marxism, all that, it's so. It's so. The thing that I find, well, basically, I find it very sad that they are so. It's so easy to set them up against Jews. You don't need a lot to do that.
Well,
It means
we fit into this narrative that the whole world is divided into oppressors and oppressed.
yes.
And you have to make this hierarchy of who's the most oppressed. It's like blacks, Muslims, trans, gay. And get down to people who are like they're not sure about. Like Asians are now what do they call it? Near white.
Near white. Yeah.
And then
Not a racist.
Jews are sort of like also near white, and then you have the whites who are like really bad. So it doesn't matter. Like it's really I always see it as very racist against Palestinians in the sense that they don't think Palestinians have any moral responsibility for anything they do. Like they're just free of all moral responsibility.
Yeah.
They can do anything.
Because the values,
And
because
no matter what
the
the
values
Jews
we
do,
used to share
and no
have
matter
been
what the
completely
Jews
flipped
do,
into
it's
group
bad,
values,
whatever
to
the-
group identities.
Yeah. It's
But I think I feel also, Rabbi, why are you paying attention to this Google? That's not the time to look at Google.
Okay, now I was looking at Israel 365.
Why?
Okay, but you're right.
It's Office 365, Microsoft.
No,
Oh,
Israel 365.
Israel 365?
It's Christian Zionists, and they're really.
and they support Israel. I was looking to see if they
they're
said
a big
anything.
operation.
No, what I was saying to a little bit, it's not like self-degrading the Jews, like some Jews. Two things. First of all, I was going to say that the many American Jews don't want to come to Israel. That's because there's not much golf here, golf fields. You can't play golf in Israel. So how can you come live from upstate New York?
So give them a welcoming. They could open one up.
We have to
You will help them
we have
get
to
the
go
land,
golf
and you do the
fields,
piping.
golf fields and targets. Then they come. And second thing, it's also a little bit our problem. On a serious note, on a light note,
We don't do enough to bring them.
we don't. No, we try to blend. Not all, but overall, we try to be like my mother always tell me. Why don't they like? Let us be ourselves. French are French, Italians Italians, Russians are Russians. We have to be Jews. Let us alone. Why are they against it? And I'm saying we're not like everybody else. I mean, whichever way we look on God, we're not. And we always try to be. If I only go to the Lions Club of America, then they like
Well,
me. I'm just like
the
everybody
Hamas-
else.
But you didn't read the Hamas charter. It says that Jews have spies throughout the world trying to control governments, and they use the Lions clubs. No joke.
I was a member of
And,
Lions Club.
B'nai B'rith, and what's that other American fraternal organization?
ACLU.
But things like that.
ADL, maybe?
No.
No, for sure.
It's like the Lions. It's they use
The
these.
Lions.
The
yes,
workmen,
yes,
the
yeah.
workmen something.
They use these as front organizations.
Oh yeah,
So,
of course.
The
The KKK did the same thing in a different way. They
I
always
was a
say-
member of Lions Club. Now I feel guilty.
a
The Jewish
Christian
conspiracy.
academic, William Nichols, wrote a book, Christian Anti-Semitism. And he had an interesting theory. He said the essence of Christian anti-Semitism comes from the fact that Christians, they chafe against the law. Always don't do this, don't do that. They find it restrictive. And they chafe against it. They can't stand it. But they can't hate Jesus because that's like forbidden.
Mm.
So they turn their hatred against the bringer of the law, which is a Jew. So basically, because we represent the Torah, and the Torah represents the law, and God, those who hate God and hate His laws will attack us. And I think even Israel, even though many Israelis are not religious, the fact that we have fulfilled a prophecy and come back to Israel after all these years, people feel in their bones. There's something just,
Ben Gurion.
there's something uncannily mystical about it, and it just makes them uncomfortable. It's like, why are they still around? Why are they still like a splinter in our eye? And the other thing is, in the modern world, the big thing is trust your feelings. And the Yetzer Hara loves that. It's a spiritual battle. Because the Yetzer Hara can go in anybody's mind and say, the Jews are terrible, Israel's terrible, and then you can make arguments to explain why you think Israel's terrible and the Jews are terrible. But but it doesn't come from arguments. It comes from an essential emotional feeling.
And it's
And one thing William Winnicott says, you can't talk people out of anti-Semitism using logic because they didn't come to anti-Semitism logically. They came to it emotionally. And they have to go through an emotional experience. He said maybe tshuva. He said repentance. Maybe the only way they can get out of it. But that's the point I want to make.
But the thing is this, like, it's, I mean, you had nations in history doing terrible things to other people. Nobody says that they should be exterminated completely. I mean, Turks killed 1 million Armenians. The Japanese did.
in Africa.
The Japanese did terrible things
The Chinese.
to the Chinese in 1937 in
Japanese and
Shanghai. Yeah.
Today, even today, is what's going on in the world. Today in Syria, in Afghanistan,
Arabs bombing Arabs.
Yeah.
Serbia.
And you don't see anyone from the woke mob that are so, that have, again, not Muslims but Western people, the Western students,
and then also
white Christian people.
and then also like when maybe
Or
next recording we'll talk about specifically conflict, like whose land it is, Arab's land, Jewish land, whoever land, under Sam's land. But even putting the question of land aside,
Nobody attacks and spits on Russians in New York, even when Putin invaded Ukraine.
oh, that's my point. Even if you take a point of a conflict with the land, which is not today's discussion, but let's say it wasn't even land, was it Jews took the land, the Muslims took the land, Crusaders took the land, whatever it is. What does it have to do for somebody going desecrating with a hatred the Jewish synagogue in Nova Scotia, or in San Francisco,
Right.
or in New Zealand?
So
Is a guy in New Zealand came and took the land?
So the question is the West is the West redeemable from this? Can they is there a way that they can, maybe they just have to completely reject Christianity in order for like the generation or 2 or 3 they can be, Jews, okay, no problem.
But you see, I'm not so sure. You're saying that you
I
really
think
feel
that Christianity
it stems,
is the
even
problem.
today. You think that
Absolutely.
and I'm not so
Absolutely.
sure. I'm not
Absolutely.
so sure.
Absolutely, because
I don't know if you could blame
I think that
Christianity
everyone, each and every one of them has a grandfather that used to go to church. They don't go to church, but they probably have grandparents who at least used to go to church, and they celebrate Christmas, and they do all these Christian things.
Yeah, but they're
And
not calling.
it's
But they're
natural
not
for them.
calling for the destruction of every Jew in the church. They're not calling.
There was a
No, I'm not
guy-
talking about the church. I'm not talking about the
The
church. I'm
people.
talking about the people.
I don't think the
Was it
people were.
Reverend Connors or something?
Way
like
back
that?
there was somebody.
During
Yeah.
World War II, he was on the radio. It was before TV. He was on the radio. Very anti-Semitic and a large following here in America.
Because it's a theological struggle. It's a theological hatred. It's a
Replacement
theological
theology.
problem.
It's called replacement theology.
Yes.
No, but I'll say I'll challenge your question on this. Like Mary, like from my experience in America, Mary American. Like I live in America, in New York, Atlanta, whatever. And many people who would watch this, let's say non-Jews, will say, "David, we'll take an issue." Let's say I'll play devil's advocate, and the guy says, "Listen, I live in America, in Atlanta, or in Toronto, in Canada." And my neighbor is Jewish, and my other neighbor is Chinese. We get along together. We rake leaves after the rain. We don't have any hatred. What are you talking about? No, I don't hate the Jews. And the Jewish guys will say, "Yeah, my neighbor is a Christian guy. We'll go golfing together. He's a very nice guy. He doesn't threaten me." So they have a point. They can say to you, well, maybe theologically there's an issue we can look into. But people themselves are not necessarily Jew haters.
Rabbi
But
Daniel,
it's embedded in the mentality of the culture. It's a cultural convention. You can hate the Jews. At the end of the day, you can hate the Jew. Okay? When push comes to shove, you can hate the Jew. He's just a Jew, He killed God, he took the land, he did this, he did that. You can hate it.
But the reason that we killed God is because you all know why. You know why?
We didn't actually. There's a lot of.
It's
No.
a big debate.
God, the Jesus Christ, for Christian God, I don't want to be disrespectful. I want to respect Christians because some of my best friends are Christians. And I want to say the reason, like myth, that we killed, because it was actually me and my uncle. We killed him because we got him to the basement and we killed him. And people say, why? Because he didn't want to become a doctor. That's why. So I'm the one.
Or a lawyer.
Why not? We want to be a doctor because a good Jewish boy should become a doctor. He don't want to be a doctor. My uncle and I got engaged and said, "What are you talking about?"
That's
There's a whole religion started from there.
the joke of Jesus was Jewish. Well, he went to his father's carpentry business, and he lived at home till he was 30. His mother thought he was God.
My mother thought I was God too.
Actually, I had a Brahmin medical student once who said that. He laughed and he said, Brahmin mothers are like that too.
So what can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do?
No, because I don't know. So I'm asking a question. Do you see the video of these 3 workers in a restaurant or something, a cafe or something, who didn't want to let a Jewish woman get into the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
They fired them finally.
Okay,
There was a Starbucks.
Yes, but the fact that this happens, I live in I have a gut feeling that we are getting closer to another Kristallnacht. And that's my feeling.
I think we're getting closer to Mashiach too. But
Well,
Rabbi Daniel Rao from UK made a very good video.
yes, but they thought when Jesus lived, they were all talking about in the times of the times of the Second Temple, the kingdom of heaven. It's not only Jesus was talking about.
Not all Christians feel this way. It's simply not universal among Christians. It was a theme. Many Christians bought into it.
He's a nice, kind man.
A universal.
I'm not
Christian.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to make a point. I mean, this anti-Semitism itself comes from Christianity. I'm not talking about every single Christian on the planet. There's 2 and 2.5
So
billion.
you're saying Muslim anti-Semitism also comes from Christianity?
It's immediately inherited from Christianity because Islam began probably as a Christian heretic cult. It did not begin as a religion of its own, and then it's separated from that. But this is a new way it's a new theory in the research of academic research of the origins of Islam, because origins of Islam are very difficult to trace.
As you notice, Rabbi Shai, as we're talking, checking online,
Guys,
halacha, to make sure who's right.
I have to stop because I follow like what the Talmud says. When there's a machloket,
And Talmud says?
So there's a new book by Deborah Lipstadt, and I think all of us need to. Yeah, it just came out recently. Anti-Semitism Here and Now, and she's a distinguished researcher at Emory. I'm sure she researched it, and it's out new. And you could even read parts of it probably for free online. And I think that there should be a follow-up to this concept, where it stemmed from and a lot more, because I'm sure that she did a lot of research into it. So I'm saying it's great, the conversation we're having, but I'm not a maven on all the reasons for anti-Semitism. And some people even say, I don't know if it's in her book, that the whole term anti-Semitism is what? It's like a misnomer, the whole term.
But
it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
It's created by a German in the early 1800s.
Exactly, and just using the term
as a euphemism for Jew hate.
But maybe
Jew hate just sounds too harsh. So
but maybe I have good news for that, because with all this, like, people are misguided, misled in America. They have to go and protest, and the hope is that the people of intellectual values can bring some light to that, such as Harvard, Yale, University of Penn State. They can bring something good to them by educating people for the values that they have. If the Jews doing something wrong, that's not a reason to kill them. There's many other reasons to kill them, but not because they were educated.
Chas v'shalom.
I'm just expressing Harvard's position as I understand it. Rabbi, would you say it is in compliance with Baba
It's a context. 36b? It's a context-dependent question.
It's a context-dependent question.
Tinok shenishba, they don't know any better, so I don't think that sentence.
We talk with David the other day, and we're going to apply for Harvard because we want to go with a special degree. We want to be advanced mathematics with an ultra-terrestrial trained by the alternate molecular biosynthesis of the thought that is not going to be bisected by Aristotle compliance to
general astrology.
To general astrology. And I want to take immediately for the second course, because the first one we already did last year. This is Harvard. I mean, I like it because it's very intellectually, like, when I look at it, when I say Harvard, I can't say Harvard.
Okay.
I say Harvard because it sounds so.
Get him back.
Did
Get him back.
anyone here ever?
Harvard. Well, that's a Hasidim.
Harvard has the Jewish symbol on the thing, right?
Did anyone-
Isn't it?
The lion.
Doesn't it
The
No,
lion
just
of
the
Harvard.
lion?
The
What's
lion
is the one? Yale has the one?
Yale to the
Yale
Chief.
has the Hebrew on it?
Yeah.
I heard they're all going to Yale, though. Yale is getting more students.
Rabbis.
The Dodge automobiles had Mogen David on the front of it.
University of Dodge.
Dodge is going from 19, when they finished with Dodge versus Ford Motor, they took the money, and see, Dodge brothers were making all the engines for the Ford cars, and they were getting paid in money and stock. There's a very, very famous law case that was shepherdized, and it was also the Court of Appeals, where Dodge brothers, as the shareholders, they sued Ford Motor Company for not issuing a distribution of
That's
money.
interesting you mentioned that because the same thing happened because Israel refuses to sell good parts for the rockets to the Gaza Hamas. And because of that, then it's fire. And sometimes the rockets fall in their own territory. If Israel will sell them proper
So
parts,
it's our fault.
it will be our
It's
fault.
our fault, yeah.
There will be no such unfortunate accident. The rocket comes in, it falls in Gaza, instead one intended things to Tel Aviv. And why? Because we, Israelis, didn't sell them right parts.
I tell you,
There's discrimination. I call it genocide.
it was a good.
The Dodge had a Mogen David on the hood
Really? Yeah, really?
going back
I didn't know
from 19...
Just for that, it's good I brought you to.
1914.
Just for that.
My
Okay, that's
1964, my
It stopped?
1964 Dodge had the Mogen David. And I think that they took it off because people were being anti-Semitic and wouldn't buy a Dodge.
Well, how about, Rabbi, you close our session with a prayer that can do some sunset for
I
good
just
for
want
the
to say
whole.
one
No,
more thing.
One more thing.
the MD here.
Dr. Rabbi Daniel Rowe from the UK made a very good video. Why does everybody hate Israel? And he made all these big things. He talked about 500,000 Arabs killed in Syria. Nobody made big rallies. Million Ethiopians or Eritreans displaced. Nah, nobody said anything.
The Iraq War, right?
Iraq War. Nobody said anything. But then, some Hamas come in and rape and murder and burn people alive. And all of a sudden, there's hundreds of thousands of people. He said, well, Israel represents light, and darkness hates light.
Yeah.
And all those who adhere to darkness are riled up by the presence of the light. It hurts their neshama, it hurts their eyes, so to speak. And that riles them up enough to make these rallies. That's Israel is the light, and those who adhere to the light will love Israel. And those who hate the light will hate Israel.
So,
And I was going to bring, there was a documentary movie which you can find at the library called 1913 Seeds of Change. And it goes through the creation of the current of Israel, talk about all these, and this was an Ottoman Empire, and the Jews bought the land, and they owned the land, so they bought it. And most of the land was owned by Turkish people who were non-residents, they were remote landowners. And they go through the timing on the land, and what happened that the other Jews had farms, and some of the Arabs were coming in and stealing their food off of their produce off of their plants, and so the Israelis created a group of security force called Shomrim, and they were supposed to protect the. And in about 1926, I think it was, they wound up shooting one Arab in the middle of stealing. Something like a grape or something small he was stealing, and they shot him and he died. And that was the beginning of, before then, the Arabs and the Jews lived together very friendly until the Arab got shot by the
Settlers again.
and hope the future will be, for whatever reasons we don't know, that the peace will come to the whole world. This is right now. This world is blank. It's up to us, good people, to draw the map of the world in a good way. So we'll finish this. And of course, if you like our channel, because we want to get the 20 million viewers. Yeah. First I thought 20 billion, but then the world was only 8 billion, so it's 20 million. If only came to hear this. And we'll finish the session on a positive note. Come on, Rabbi.
Do you know this song, Achenu Kol Bet Yisrael? So Achenu
Sing a
Kol
few
Bet
bars,
Yisrael,
How much you guys
Hanetunim, Betzara, Uvashivya, who are what? Netunim, who are put into what? Sorrows, terrible things in Shivya. unfortunately, in captivity. Hamakom yirachem alehem v'yotzihem bimhera biyameinu.
Amen.
We pray that they'll be out soon. And of course, we say shalom more than any other time in what? In the tefillot. We say it all the time, and that's all we want is shalom. And hopefully the world around will finally wake up.
So amen to that, and watch out for next. We will talk about next subject, which is we'll fall from there.
Yirachem alehem. Hamakom yirachem alehem.
I have a friend of mine, he's, I want to call him, he's a Bukharian.
Maybe click it from the keyboard.
But can I make a suggestion though? Ruben, tell they're too long, so he should really cut out some of the stuff.